Is there something on my face?
Yeah, it might be a little noticeable. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Gaming Effect. This is episode 4. Wasn't sure this episode was going to get made in time because some outside circumstances, but here we are. We're back. I'm Alex, aka Soldier First Class.
I'm Corey, aka Dookie03.
And by the way, guys, we are on all platforms. We are on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and now officially on SoundCloud. We are uploaded there.
SoundCloud.
Ooh, yeah, we're just like your favorite rappers. But we've gotten over 100 plays. And by the way, we wanted to celebrate that. And thank you guys for over 100 plays on just 3 episodes of the podcast. You guys
that's awesome.
have been incredible. So thank you all for watching. Please keep doing so. We love you a lot. Yeah, so be sure on all of those platforms to give us a nice rating and share the episodes with people. Share it on your social medias. Share it with your friends. Share it with your parents if you get along with them. And if not, punish them by sharing the podcast with them anyway.
Tell them there's some decency in your life.
And yeah, we're not all.
Show them what you could be, how pathetic you could have become.
Right.
You know?
Show them an example of what failure really looks like.
Yeah.
And then they won't be so harsh on you.
You know what, Sean? You're not so bad after all.
After seeing those two, you know what? I kind of forgive you.
The next episode, we're actually going to be doing a big Q&A. So make sure you send your questions, any questions you want to ask us. Are you going to do you think you're going to do like, you know how YouTube does like those community posts? Are you going to do it there, or you can do it in the comments of this one as well? So
you can either submit a question to us in the comment section below. I can put a community post too as well. If
reach
you're
out to us on Twitter, Facebook.
Reach out to us on Twitter, anywhere that we are socially available. Those links will be in the description and or attached to the listening site that you're on. Spotify, there is a way to. We have a Q&A type thing on there, and it will ask like, "What did you think of the episode?" or whatever. Feel free to. I'm going to change that for this episode to say submit your questions or whatever to the show. We'll be answering those on the podcast. This episode should be out, as long as I am able to. It should be out the 28th. Today is the 24th as of the time of recording. But yeah, we are here with episode 4, which is going to be called The Plague and Tournament Arcs, which I know that sounds like a very confusing title, but it seemed kind of fitting because we both caught the fucking plague, apparently right around the same time. And it's crazy because, you know, obviously Canada and I'm from the US, and yet we're both fucking miserably sick at the same exact time. So we were going to record this last Friday, which would have been like the 21st or 20th or something like that. And my wife came down with COVID on Wednesday. I came down with COVID on Thursday. And so I was way, way too sick all weekend to even try to record. And you had, well, let them know what you had.
I ended up getting fucking pneumonia. And then today, and then I was feeling better actually yesterday and kind of today, or yesterday and the day before. And then today I woke up coughing up blood. So I had to go to the doctor this morning, and it turns out now I have bronchitis. But my pneumonia is gone, so we're one step closer to the end.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie, this might be the first day where I wasn't begging someone to kill me. Like, it was so bad. My headache, so Saturday night, I think, my days are all messed up. Today's Monday, right? Like, it would have been Saturday night. I tried to go to bed, And every time I'd lay down or close my eyes, my head would start pounding on both sides, like right here, and just would not stop. Like I had to get in a hot bath and put a cold rag on my forehead to get the pain to stop. And it was so bad, like it was, it was making me want to throw up. Like it was horrible. It was the worst headache I've ever had in my life. Now, I've had COVID before. I had it 2 years ago when all this kicked off, you know. I felt miserable then. And I had a headache then, I had the body aches, the fevers, the chills, all that. This time, I think certain symptoms were worse. This last time, the chills were horrible. I was literally, like, trying to play... Like, I have a controller right here. I was trying to play, like, Street Fighter / finish the Platinum for 16, and my hands were literally doing this.
Jeez!
And I couldn't do anything. And, so, then, like... The body aches weren't bad. My joints were what were really bothering me. I had 103.7 fever one of the nights. And then the headache. The headache was 10 times worse than any other headache I've ever had in my life. And wouldn't wish it on anybody. I've also lost 7 pounds because I haven't been eating. Yeah, it's been a long weekend.
Yeah, I bet, dude. I've been fucking... I feel like I've been sick for like 3 weeks. It's been over 3 weeks now, man. And it would like get a little better, and then it would like go back to being shit. So like today, after work, like as soon as I got home from work today, I'm like so behind on like videos and stuff. So I was just like, I have all these scripts, and I was just like rapid fire, like getting through all these scripts. Because last, like when I first got pneumonia, I lost my voice like 2 days into it. And I'm like, man, if that happens with this bronchitis, like if I lose my voice or something tomorrow, I'm going to be even further behind. So I just like was recording all this stuff, and then I was like, I finished. Like I think I probably read like 12 pages of like script, like, and then when I finished, I was like, man, I shouldn't have done that. We have a podcast to record, and my fucking my like it's like getting sore in here. But then after I ate something and stuff, it seems fine. So it really has felt like we've had the plague, because like we've been just like rolling in and out and feeling like dog shit and doing what we can while we can.
Yeah, so definitely not a fun weekend for either of us. And like I said, we wanted to record this Friday, and then we both like almost died. So it's like it just wasn't gonna happen. And every day we were like, oh man, if I feel better tonight, we can do it. You know, we totally record. And I was like, I'm feeling all right today. I'm feeling
and then as
okay.
the day would progress, you'd just feel like shittier as the day went on.
Well, yeah, because like the day that I had the really bad headache, I was feeling fine. I think I actually messaged you and was like, hey, if everything is good,
tonight we can do it.
Tonight we can record.
Yeah.
And then I was like, at around recording time, I was like, hey, yeah, champ, not feeling so great.
I'm gonna fucking die.
Yeah, I was like, today is like the first day I haven't wanted to die in 4 days, so today should be a joyous day, but it's really not.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we kind of went on a little bit of a tangent there, but I mean, it was part of what we were going to talk about, but
fill in the folks in.
So anyway, now that we have not died from the plague yet, what are some games that we're excited for or that we are playing currently? I've got a couple. What do you got?
Well, I've been I started streaming Legend of Legaia now, so we've been playing that. I think you said you were playing a bit of that too, right?
I'm playing it kind of. Yeah, I'm kind of playing it semi beside you. I've kind of fallen behind since, death came a knocking, but
the worst is when like you're sick, so you're like home from work and you're sick and you're like you can't sleep the whole day, so you got to do something to fill it in, and you're like, oh, maybe I'll play like a video game, but you feel too shitty to even do that. Or the thing I fall into is like I'll want to like watch like a show, like, because if you're just laying in bed, it's nothing to just watch a show. But then I'm like, okay, I want to watch something I've seen a million times so I can fall asleep without missing it. And then it's just like takes so long to decide what to watch that I end up just watching nothing and doing nothing.
I actually have been playing. So Rashid for Street Fighter 6 just came out. I've been playing him today. Really, really enjoy Rashid. He's actually a really fun character. I finished the platinum on 16, which would have been...
You didn't finish.
Yes, yesterday or the day before. I think it was the day before yesterday. I think it was before the headache, but the same day as the headache. Really enjoyed the platinum for that. It was a lot easier than I thought. Turns out I'm only one person of like 1.5% of the 3 million people that have played that game or bought the game to have gotten the platinum, so that's kind of cool.
Oh, nice.
I also am playing Legend of Legaia besides you, like I said.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of Baldur's Gate 3, which I'm now actually excited for. It's pretty cool. A lot of conversation options, a lot of customization, a lot of abilities to work through, stuff like that. It's actually a really, really cool game. It's really good. If you like D&D or if you've ever played D&D, it takes place in the same kind of universe. And it's basically a video game version of D&D. Like there's dice rolls, there are
there's dice rolls and everything too.
There's skill checks, there's dice rolls, there are like the combat is very like select your ability. You get there's an automatic roll for initiative. There's like there's turn orders and stuff like that you go through. You can control your NPC party members. You can get a bunch of I have a wolf now in the early access.
So I have a wolf now.
I have
It sounded like
yeah. I have I think it's a fighter. I have, and it's you have like a subclass, and I think it's Beastmaster is what I have.
Oh, okay.
And I can summon an actual animal to aid me in battle. So I think there's a wolf, there's a crow, there's a bear.
You can fuck the bear, too.
You can, but not your bear. There's a scene in the game where the bear gets to diddling, but
oh my god.
Yeah, but not your bear. You're not, Yeah. But anyway, it's a really fun game though. I'm really enjoying it. I played it with my buddy Craig, and it's kind of cool because the person that initiates the conversation has control over it.
Oh, okay.
So, if me and you are playing together, and I walk up to an NPC and I talk to him, you can watch the conversation I have with him,
right?
But I'm the one controlling it. So, let's say for instance, there's a book in this crypt that we were walking through, and it was magically sealed. Well, my partner may not have had the ability to unseal the book, but I do.
Right.
So I would interact with the book, get its information, but he could watch the cutscene with me. So he would get the information. Good. He would get the information alongside with me.
So it definitely pays to play it with other people.
Right, sort of, yeah. So
you have multiple different skill sets working together a little bit better.
It can be played solo, but it's a lot of fun because also his thing was he's run a lot of people through early access.
Oh, okay.
And so everybody reacts differently to different things. So and there's so many options. So there's so for one, there's a thing where a mind flayer tries to control your mind, and you have all these options. You can break free, or you can give in to what it's doing, or whatever. Well, if you give in to what it's doing, it party wipes you. Yeah. So he was playing with another one of our friends one time, and our friend was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna give in to what he says just to see what it does," and it wiped the entire party.
Holy shit!
Yeah, so and you can save and stuff. So there's you don't lose your character or anything if you die, but
right. Oh yeah, you just reload.
Yeah, it's not like D&D where if you die,
you have to roll a new character.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so that's good.
Yeah, you don't perma-die or anything like that. I mean, you kind of do, but if you save, you don't.
Yeah.
Which makes auto-saving and regular saving a lot more important. But it's really cool because you can, I think in the final build you're going to be able to multi-class and cross-class skills and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and you can actually, when you level up, customize what abilities you gain. So if there's a certain spell that you're kind of eyeing, but you're not quite wanting it yet, you don't think it'll come in handy yet, you can wait, and then when you level up and it gives you the option to grab a spell, you can then grab that spell. So it's actually it's kind of like a tabletop RPG in
video game form.
In video game form. So
like
I think
to the highest degree.
Right. So like
Yeah.
your friend Mike plays D&D on stream and stuff.
Yeah,
I think he would be really excited for Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh yeah, they streamed all of Baldur's Gate 2. It took like a year and a half. And
yeah, there's like I want to say there's like
5 of them.
Did they say 17? No, it can't be 17,000. That's too little. It might be 17 million voice lines or something, or like dialogue options or something in the game. It's a lot. But yeah, we ran through the early access last night, and it was a lot of fun. Combat's really cool. It's turn-based. And
best way.
There's a lot of abilities, a lot of synergy, a lot of stuff like that. So it's definitely a game that's on my radar now that wasn't before. And so I'm glad that like my friend ran
yeah, no doubt
through it with me, because it was a lot of fun. Especially like I said, he likes to see the different ways that people approach things.
Right.
Like, so I've played D&D a lot before. So in my experience, you never trust certain things.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
And so there was like this purple tank thing that was like laying on the ground, and I ran past it, and my buddy's like, "Huh, I'm proud of you." And I go, "For what?" And he goes, "Well, you ran past that purple tank. Most people click on it." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not. I've played D&D before. I'm not stupid."
Fuck that shit.
And he's like, "Yeah, it's a good thing you didn't, because it explodes." And I was like, "Yeah, that's probably a good thing." Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So I'm really excited for that game. Probably, I would say that's probably the new game that I'm the most excited for now. But yeah, is there anything new that you're excited for, or are you just kind of excited for what you're playing right now?
Yeah, like obviously I'm excited for the Dragon Quest Monsters 3. The Dark Prince comes out, I think, December 1st. It's like a prequel to Dragon Quest 4, starring the villain from Dragon Quest 4, and he's like my favorite villain of all time. So I'm super excited for that. But I'm starting to finally get a little bit excited for WrestleQuest. I mean, I've been wanting to play it forever, but it's like, you know, when a game, you know about a game for so long, and you know it's coming, but it's still a ways away, so you don't want to like get too hyped up for it.
Eowyn Chronicles.
Yeah, that one too. I've been kind of like that with a lot of these games, but now that WrestleQuest is coming closer, I'm pretty excited for that. And they just did a news dump on Infinity Strash, the Dragon Quest Adventure of Dai game. So I was reading through that, and I'm a little bit more excited for it now than I was before. Like, it's an action RPG, right? So it's not really my realm of like, that's not really like my genre of choice. So I've been kind of not dreading the game, but like I'm gonna play it because I'm a big Dragon Quest guy, and I'm gonna play it because it's Dragon Quest. But it's like, it's not one of the games that I've been like most looking forward to. But now that I've seen some of the gameplay, some of the content that they just recently released and stuff, it's looking a lot better than I thought it was gonna be.
I saw like a 5-second clip of it, and it not to ruin your hype, but it kind of reminded me of Dragon Ball Sagas.
God damn, it's not that bad. Nothing's that bad.
Sorry.
No, it's very, I know what you mean though, where it's like you're like in this like smaller area and you just like beat all the enemies and then do like an objective and then move to the next mission. Like, it definitely kind of gives off that vibe. But I'm actually in the process of working on a video with a guy. I don't want to say his name yet, but he's another Dragon Quest YouTuber, kind of a newer one, and he's a huge Adventure of Dai fan, and he's been looking forward to Infinity Strash like big time. Like, this is like his number one look forward to game. So I'm gonna be doing a video with him talking about like why we should be looking forward to it, like what are some of the reasons we should be playing this game, and what's the hype, like why is he so hyped for it and stuff like that. So
that's cool.
I think it's gonna get more people maybe interested in it, or seeing why it's gonna be a good time. So
yeah, you've been doing quite a few collaborations lately.
Yeah, Yeah, I got that one. I got another collab I'm working on as well. I got to do the vocal work for that quick too, in case my voice craps out. But it's another person invited me to do. It's like the top 10 female JRPG villains, I think is what it is. So, spoiler alert, my choice is Ultimisia. So I'll be
Fair enough.
doing that one.
Did we just find a way to slip Final Fantasy VIII in here again?
Into every podcast?
Every episode so far. I think maybe even episode 1. I'm not really sure.
Probably.
But, well, now that we're done talking about that, we have a different topic that
My foot's cramping.
Your foot's cramping?
Yeah. Okay, we're good. Holy fuck, that hurt.
Wow, way to derail. But, so, tournament arcs. Now, we have not really talked about anime on this podcast yet, I don't think. Maybe a little bit in the Dragon Ball Z type way, but when you brought this up to me, it's funny because, you think the first thing you would immediately think of would be like the World Tournament from Dragon Ball, right? But I actually had a more recent example in mind when I thought about this, and it was a show that and I have to tell this story because if it wasn't for you, I never would have found this show, because I've been looking for it for 20 fucking years.
I know what you're talking about.
And you already know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so I'll tell the story, and then I'll tell you exactly what the anime is, because some people may even be able to tell what it is from my description. So when I was a kid, I was watching, I believe it was Adult Swim or Toonami or something.
Toonami, it would have been, yeah.
Would have been Toonami? Okay.
Yeah.
And all I remembered was that there was like this large battle with a giant green Gundam. And the main character had to fight against his brother. And I didn't know what the Gundam series was, so I kept looking, I kept doing research, I kept trying to find it, and I could not find it. I kept asking people, they didn't know.
There's only like 500 different Gundam series.
Right.
So.
Right. And so I kept asking people, I kept asking the anime community, I kept asking Gundam fans, like, could not figure it the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how we got on the subject, but I was watching you stream, and I think you have a soundbite command called "Take This."
Yeah, take this.
It's Domon Kashu.
My love, my heart, and all my
yeah. And it's Domon Kashu, and he's screaming that, right? And I'm like,
my love, my anger, and all my sorrow. That's
I was like, okay, what's that from? And you're like, oh, that's from G Gundam. And I'm like, well, what is that? And you're like, oh, it's just this anime where like there's like. And I was like, wait a minute, maybe you'll know because you're a big Gundam fan. So I was like, hey, what's this anime with like this giant green Gundam and like he's fighting his brother? And you're like,
the God or Devil Gundam.
And you're like, oh, it's the Dark Gundam. And I was like,
yeah,
son of a bitch. It's been 20 fucking years, and it took this guy to fucking tell me that it was fucking G Gundam, which has a super cool tournament arc in it.
Dude, the whole thing is basically a tournament arc.
Yeah, basically.
Except for the end kind of shit gets off the rails a bit, but it's not the whole thing, right? Because like at first he's like just looking for his brother, right? I think like it's been a long time since
I want to say I just watched it not too long ago, but I think it was
because his brother stole the Dark Gundam.
Yeah, it's a subplot within a subplot kind of thing.
Yeah, and then he ends up going to the tournament to find.
Well, I think the main tournament at the end is like what, top 8 or something like that. I think the tournament itself
is just challenging all the countries before that, right? Right. That is like the most of the show.
Right. He's challenging Gundams from other countries to try to find his brother.
Yeah.
So I think like there's a kind of a semi-tournament arc inside of a tournament arc.
Yeah, and then it goes full tournament arc.
But I have to thank Corey, because if it wouldn't have been for him, I probably still would be searching for that fucking show. And I wasn't going to watch 900 different Gundam anime to try to find this fucking show.
I
But
mean, most of them are good.
I was I was getting kind of desperate because I was like, God damn it, I want to watch this show because I remember it being good.
Yeah,
And
it is good.
yeah, it is really good. But it's like the most shonen
Oh yeah,
mecha anime
it's the only one like that. Other than maybe there's the Gundam Build Fighter, and they take like Gundam models basically, and then there's like this program that lets them like pilot them in battle.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of similar. Like even the main character's like mobile suit is like a modified version of like the strike, or what the fuck's the first Gundam in G Gundam called? There's the God Gundam, the Shining Gundam.
Shining Gundam. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny because like I am not a huge mecha anime fan. Like I like Evangelion, obviously. I liked G Gundam, but I never really was a big mecha anime fan. Now, I will say the thing that I really liked about G Gundam 2 was that they didn't like sit in a cockpit. You know, they didn't.
Yeah, they wore
they wore
like the suit.
The suit, yeah.
Yeah.
And I did like that. Like later on in the show, they never really addressed it early on, but like later on in the show, if the bonding process fucked up, like it could kill them. And so I thought that was a really cool concept. Like the suit controls the Gundam. If they take damage to the Gundam, they take damage.
Take damage, yeah.
Like it's like almost biometrically connected to them.
Yeah. The craziest is when a mobile suit's like head or something gets ripped off, and they're just like fucking screaming because it feels like their own head got ripped off, basically, and stuff.
And so I really enjoyed that show for a lot of reasons, but I did think that one aspect was really cool.
The thing about G Gundam 2 is like when it's serious, it's really good, but when it's not serious, it's just as good. Like it's fucking ridiculous. Like Master Gundam has Funsaki, his fucking horse, and his horse is in one of those suits too, and it's a horse inside the cockpit. It's like, and he's like riding. He's like stands on the back of the horse like this. He's like cross-armed.
The undefeated of the East.
Yeah, Master Asia, the undefeated in the East,
dude. And I love like that they made it like almost the entire show. They were like, oh, Domon can only use the burning fingers with one hand. So he's got to like set up that one hand to do the final blow or whatever. And then like later on in the show, they just throw you a curveball, and he's like, he kind of, I think he kind of fakes it, and then he goes with the other hand and does it and like destroys the Gundam, and it's really cool. But
I love how like the hand, it like opens up and like the vents and stuff, like when he does, like, oh man,
or when
Gundam's so good.
And when he goes like, isn't he? I don't remember the transformation that he goes through. Is it like it's
oh yeah, the super mode?
Yeah, it's gold colored, but I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, it's just called the super mode.
Yeah, it's basically like he fucking went Super Saiyan, you know?
Yeah.
And but it was a really good tournament arc. What's the first thing that comes to mind for you? I'm sure I already know.
Yeah, it would be Dragon Ball. But definitely, like, for me, my number one in all of like, for anime wise anyways, in all of like anime and all of Dragon Ball Z and everything, is that world tournament in the original Dragon Ball when Goku fights Tien, and that's like Tien's the only one that can fly. Tien's like a teenager, Goku's still a kid, and they're fighting, and they're like so even. But Tien blows up the ring, and as anyone who knows anything about the world tournament in Dragon Ball, if you go out of the ring, you get a ring out and you lose, right? So Goku's trying to fight Tien without touching the ground because the ring is destroyed. So he's constantly, they were very close. Like Tien was like maybe a little stronger, but maybe a little weaker than him. But then Tien. And this is why I love Dragon Ball so much more than Z and GT and Super, is because there's so much more like strategy and technique and stuff to like winning, like to the combat and stuff.
They can't just out scream each other and
exactly
get more power.
I got a new form, now I can win, right? There was always like a reason why, or they'd have to adapt a new technique or a new a new strategy in order to beat them. And that's a perfect showcase of it, because Tien probably would have lost to Goku, but he blows up the ring, and Goku has to expend all that power, because it's not until Z where everyone can fly. Only Tien and Chaozu can fly in original Dragon Ball. So Goku is constantly firing Kamehamehas at the ground to use that pressure to keep him in the air. So he'll like fire a Kamehameha, fight, start falling, fire another Kamehameha, and he ends up losing. And it's like, it's so good, because a lot of like, especially shonen anime, the hero always wins no matter what. Like, he always finds a way to pull it out. But in Dragon Ball, that's not always the case. And that's like, to me, that tournament is like the perfect example of like, the good guy doesn't always win. But that's not the important part. The important part is like, he gave his best, and showing like how he went out of his way to try and win. And like, everyone was like, all his friends were like, they weren't disappointed in him. Like, and I think the reason tournament arcs, so many people like them, is because no matter what, whether you're like a jock or you're just some nerdy guy like us, you've participated in some kind of a tournament at some point in your life, whether it was like track and field as a child or what. And it's just like, all those like emotions that you kind of remember experiencing are on display with like all the characters and stuff. Like, even if you weren't in any tournaments, you know how it feels when like your friend's up next. You know what I mean? And it's like, and Dragon Ball does such a good job with that, because you've got like Krillin and Yamcha who are participating in the tournaments, and you're cheering for them just as much as you are, if not more, than you're cheering for Goku, because you want to see how far they're gonna make it.
Well,
too,
it's like Karate Kid. Like,
yeah, the end of that too.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why that movie is so popular, is because like, you see him progress as he goes through the tournament. It's like a really cool like setup and scene and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
well, even like montage, the preliminaries, right?
Right.
It's just like, it's a fucking great montage.
Right.
Probably one of the best montages like of all time.
Yeah, like, well, especially with the accompanying song.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's
like
the best around.
Yeah, clearly. It even says so. But it's funny, because like, I love tournament arcs, and it's something that if an anime has one or it is based on one, I always really love it.
Yeah.
Like, there's a show, and I can't remember the full title of it. It's like something Ragnarok. And it's basically about humans versus gods. Basically, like, the gods are fighting these humans in a tournament to see who the best is. And I don't remember what the premise of the tournament is, or what the result will be if the gods win or the humans win or whatever. I think it's like freedom for the humans or something like that. I don't remember right off the top of my head. I haven't finished the show. I only watched like one episode. But I thought it was a really cool concept that it was just a tournament show, like a full show about a tournament.
Yeah.
And like, it explains like the gods and their history and stuff like that as like a precursor to the fight. And then it like explains the human and what they did in life, and how they ended up here, and were they good?
So it gives the backstory on like each character as their fight approaches, or during the fight, kind of thing.
Right. It's actually not bad. I think you would probably maybe enjoy it. I know you're not like a huge anime guy, but yeah, Dragon Ball is one where I agree with you too, because Dragon Ball is one of those where like, it's the sense of adventure that Goku's going on, like knowing that he is not always the best in the world.
Yeah.
Whereas like, if you watch Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, GT, Goku always comes out on top. Goku always ends up the winner.
Or
and that's,
even in Cell, like I have never been a Gohan fan, and the whole Cell games thing really killed the kind of Dragon Ball Z for me, because it was like, okay, like everything was like, the whole Frieza thing was fucking awesome, like phenomenal. Right. The Saiyan saga, the Frieza thing, really good. I even really like the android thing, because like the androids are just laying waste to all of them. Like, there's nothing they can do about it.
Right.
And it gives some of the, I think another thing I don't like so much about Z and Super and stuff like that is, I really like the humans. Like, Yamcha is like my favorite Dragon Ball character. Him and like Trunks, but I like in Dragon Ball, like it's always focusing on like the whole cast of characters, but in Z, it's really like Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, and that's like all you ever kind of really see. And when it went like Goku kind of lost to Cell there, and then all of a sudden Gohan can just transform and win. Like that's the kind of stuff that really kind of burnt me when it came to Z, especially later on.
The thing that so for me with Gohan, it was told from the beginning that he always had that potential. That so like
he was all. I mean, even what he did to Raditz, right?
Right. That's exactly when it started. Raditz kidnapped him. He harmed Goku, and Gohan freaked out. And it was the highest registered power level that Raditz had seen from that young of a child. And, I mean, he did actual damage to Raditz.
Yeah.
So
but nobody else really could.
Yeah, from a young age, Gohan was always set up to be the next Goku.
Yeah,
well, then, true. The rumor that I had read or had heard was that Toriyama's editor at the time didn't believe that Gohan could carry the show or the manga. So he basically told Toriyama that he had to keep Goku as the main character because that's who everybody recognized, that's who everybody wanted to see win, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, like a lot of fans like me, I really wanted to see that transition to Gohan being the guy because we'd already seen, you know, that many years of Goku. Like we needed that upgrade.
That's true. I think I remember reading somewhere that Z was actually supposed to be centered, around Gohan and like his growth and stuff, which makes sense because Dragon Ball was about a kid, right? A kid like exploring the world essentially and interacting with new people and helping them. And no, it wasn't about saving the world, basically, right? It was about it's kind of like, I'm gonna sound like whatever here, but it's kind of like Dragon Quest where it's like he's just going from place to place and coming across people and helping them like at every opportunity.
Well, and the thing is, like,
his adventure grows.
I know eventually like the story has to progress and everything, and like the stakes have to get higher and higher and higher and stuff like that. And I understand that. But I agree though that I like Dragon Ball felt like there was no, other than the Red Ribbon Army, which did get kind of stale.
It dragged,
there was no like giant world-ending threat, right? Like no one thought that Goku was going to have to transform into a Super Saiyan
save the world
to save the world because someone was going to try to blow it up or some intergalactic demon was trying to fuck like. And don't get me wrong, I love Dragon Ball Z. I love Frieza, Cell. I think they're really good villains. I'm kind of mixed on Majin Buu, but
I did not like the Buu saga at all.
I didn't like what they did to Gohan, but that's
okay. So this is kind of funny because like when it was like airing and stuff, like when I was like a teenager, when Dragon Ball Z was airing, like that part with like the Great Saiyaman and stuff, I fucking hated it so much, and I was like, this is garbage. But now as an adult, I love the Great Saiyaman stuff because it's so fucking like campy. If I was Gohan, if I had the powers of like a half Saiyan, I would do the same fucking shit. Like I would be like the cheesiest like superhero, like Kamen Rider knockoff character. And like I would just ham it up, like make it so cheesy too.
Dude, I have grown to appreciate it more now, but I always wonder what could have been. Because like they kind of cucked Gohan anyway in the Buu saga, even after Great Saiyaman, because they were like, "Oh, we're going to unlock your hidden potential for 7 episodes, but then immediately the episode after, Boo's going to absorb you, and it's going to have been fucking pointless, and Goku's going to win anyway." Like,
but that's what happens to all the characters after.
I know! And that's the great thing about Dragon Ball, is because, like you said, it's about the human characters fighting alongside this non-human
mystical creature guy, basically, because he was based off of like Son Goku, like Sun Wukong, right? Like the Chinese mythology character. But
so it's like they focused on the characters more. And then every character besides Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan, and Piccolo for the most part, got thrown to the wayside like they were nothing, and they were just support characters. And it's like, it makes no sense.
They were all really good characters.
Right. And to me, it makes no sense for, like, Yamcha, Tien, Chaozu, etc., to be fighting the androids who can't even be bothered by Goku and Vegeta. Right?
I liked that though. That was one of probably my favorite part in Z is obviously like the end of like the whole like Frieza saga stuff. Like I think people today watching it after it's been originally aired will never understand what it was like to experience Goku go Super Saiyan and stuff like that, because now it's like, oh, he's just Super Saiyan. What about Super Saiyan 3? What about Super Saiyan Blue? What about Super Saiyan Rose? But back then there was nothing. There was no Super Saiyan, right?
Dude, that was
you had Vegeta saying, haha, bitch, I'm a Super Saiyan, but like he wasn't, but nobody knew what a Super Saiyan was. So Vegeta just knew he was strong as fuck, right? So he was like, it's me, baby. I'm the Super Saiyan. Back off, sugar tits. And Frieza was like, but what if he is? Oh my goodness! And then he just beat the shit out of him. And then when Goku finally did it, and it was like a real thing, and it was like a change in the character and a change in the way he looked, and a massive change in his power. Like that was a huge fucking deal.
Now in Canada, I have to ask this. This is really important to the overall feel of that scene, because did you guys have the Bruce Falconer?
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
fucking everything. Holy shit!
For everything.
Great, because we did too, and it made that scene.
Oh yeah, dude. You mean the Spanish trumpets wouldn't have done it for you?
Dude,
I love the Japanese soundtrack as well, especially in like the movies and stuff, like some of the movies and stuff. But yeah, no, certain moments you had to have the North American.
See,
soundtrack.
Dragon Ball Z Kakarot used the original Japanese stuff.
Oh, okay.
So like the head shell off theme song, that was for Kakarot. But I think one of my most hype moments in that show was, besides Super Saiyan 1, was the Bruce Falconer score for Super Saiyan 3. Because that scene where he fucking freaks out and like the glass shatters and like his planet comes into view and like he's a baby and then he's spinning around and then he turns into the giant ape and then all of a sudden like it snaps back to Goku and he's got that fucking long ass hair and the rock guitar is going and the clouds are fucking freaking out and like all this shit, dude. It was so
his
goddamn
soundtrack
hype.
Was so good, dude. The best, dude. I used to burn the Perfect Cell theme from Bruce Faulkner. I used to burn it on like CDs and stuff all the time because it was so fucking good.
It's a fucking hype. It's a gym hype fucking song for sure.
Oh man, the other thing is like, speaking of like the Buu saga, like how disappointing it was. Like Goku does the Super Saiyan 3 and then does nothing with it. Nothing comes from it. It's just, oh my god, the Buu saga sucked ass.
There are so many times where that show introduced new mechanics and then was like, yeah, we're just never going to use this again. Now, they did it with Gotenks, but
dude,
again,
I love Gotenks.
Again, Gotenks got absorbed and it did nothing. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
I gotta say, like when you were saying how I get it, they have to always scale the power higher. I disagree because I love Dragon Ball Super, first of all, but in Dragon Ball Super, one of my favorite parts was when it was just like there was like a short, I think it was like 2 or 3 episodes where I can't remember what they were looking for, but it was Trunks and Goten, and they had to find something and bring it back or something, and they just had like this little adventure. And honestly, that's like the best. Like anything with like Trunks and Goten when they're kids, just fucking around, is honestly the best stuff in the Z movies, in Z and in Super. Is honestly like my favorite stuff.
I feel like Super did a really good job of like bringing back characters and making them relevant.
Same.
Like Master Roshi in the tournament, in the Super tournament.
Tournament of Power.
Tournament of Power, yeah. Roshi was actually relevant.
Yeah.
Gohan was actually relevant. Piccolo, all of them.
Android 17, he's the one that ended up winning the whole damn thing.
Like
Yeah, it was. They did a really good job. I like Super probably more than Z. If you take the entirety of Z, because you got to keep in mind that the Buu saga is over half of fucking Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, it's long as fuck.
Yeah, if you take all of Super and all of Z and base it on quality as a whole, I gotta say Super is better, honestly.
Dude, one of the most hype moments though in Super for me was when Trunks went fucking ape shit. And
yeah, like Future Trunks.
Yeah, and
yeah, dude.
Yeah, that was so awesome.
The Goku Black.
Yeah, the Goku Black arc.
Yeah, that was the whole. Honestly, Super did an amazing job. They are bringing it back apparently.
Yeah,
it's
I think they're
back shortly.
There should be they're fighting Moro, which is like a space wizard type guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't read any of the manga for Super, but
yeah, Tournament of Power was dope because it was like
that was another really good tournament arc. And
right.
My favorite thing is when it's a tournament arc with special like terms and conditions. You know what I mean? I really like that too. Dragon Quest is like a series that does like big tournament arcs every now and then. Dragon Quest 4, the whole like purpose of Princess Selena's journey is because she's like this princess, so her dad is like, oh, stay in your room and be a princess, but she's like this tomboy, she's like a martial artist, so she punches a hole through her wall and escapes, and she wants to participate in the tournament in Endor, and like her whole chapter is to get there, and then she fights in the tournament and all that, and it's just so well done and awesome. Once you finally get there, it like caps off that chapter. And then Dragon Quest 11 has a tournament arc, and Dragon Quest is really good at like referencing pop culture things. So first of all, the tournament is called the Masked Martial Arts Tournament. So it's an MMA tournament, and the location is in the city called Octagonia, like the UFC, the Octagon, right? And it's like there's so many like little references like that. But then the whole catch, I love when tournaments have like a special terms or a special catch. And the catch for the mass martial arts tournament is A, everyone's got to wear a mask, and B, everybody who enters, so like all your party members like Eric and like your party members like all enter it, Sylvando and all that, but you're randomly paired with another person, and it's 2v2 battles the whole way through. The main character ends up being partied with like not somebody from your party. So you play through like the tournament, you fight Eric and his partner and Sylvando and his.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's like it's probably one of the best video game tournament arcs there is. But another one I really remembered was you said you did play Legend of Dragoon. Oh no, you quit early on in Legend of Dragoon, right?
Yeah.
Legend of Dragoon had a really good. It was really short, but it was a really good tournament arc. And it was like you get to I always like, and a lot of people hate this, but I always like when you get to like the finals of the tournament and you meet one of like the villains of the game and they just fucking body you. Like I kind of like that, because it's like you're feeling like pretty powerful because you beat all these tough guys, you're in the finals, and then you just get fucking bodied by like the guy that's kind of the main villain, or it's your first time meeting this guy and you end up finding out he's kind of like one of the main villains and stuff. I always love that too.
It's funny because like, you know, you can't exclude a tournament arc without, or you can't talk about a tournament arc without having Yu Yu Hakusho in there too.
I never really watched like a lot of Yu Yu Hakusho, but I do remember the tournament arc, and it was that was an epic fucking tournament.
Yeah, it was really good. Also, another good one, and we were talking about power scaling earlier, and this is one of the best power scaling things I can think of that I really enjoy. That feels natural, but doesn't feel like they have to keep upping the stakes, you know? And that's Hunter x Hunter.
Okay.
Have you watched Hunter x Hunter?
No, I've never. I know I know that there's a character called Gon. That's about all I know.
Yeah, his name is Gon.
He's got like, oh, is that like, that's all I know.
It's Gon. But it's really cool because like he goes to this. It's like a tower. Basically, it's like this.
Okay.
It's like the skyscraper, and it's literally like floor by floor, and you have to win fights to go up each floor. And so, like, the higher floor you get, the more money you start making, and the more power you have. Like, not power, but like pull, I guess you'd say,
Sway.
power. Like, yeah. And it's really cool because, like, Gon's just this kid, you know, and he has no, like, he's already strong because he's lived in nature his whole life. He goes fishing, he does, you know, does all these things. Well, he goes and he learns about this special power called Nen. Well, then he starts learning to try to use it. Well, everybody at this tournament, or at least a lot of people, know how to use Nen, and everybody's Nen ability is different. So, like, Hisoka is one of the guys. He has an ability where it basically sticks to people like gum, and he can, like, attach it to something and launch it at them, and they can't avoid it because it's stuck to them.
Okay.
So, like, every character has their own ability, right? And it's really cool how it works, and they actually use strategy to try to figure out how to use their ability.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
To be the best way to be a Nen user. So, like, it's been so long since I watched it.
And to, like, beat their opponent's ability too, right?
Right. They have to think about what their opponent's ability is and their own ability and how they can use that ability to counteract the ability that their opponent has.
Yeah.
So it's not all about, like, there are characters that are more powerful than each other. Like, I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
But it's because they've had extended training. Like, one guy's a trained assassin. His whole family is assassins. That's what he does. He can transform into anybody he wants, like, visually.
Okay.
He can. There's also a few things he can do, but it's a really cool power system. But that tournament arc that they have is actually really cool too.
Yeah, that sounds kind of cool how they all have, like, an equal but different kind of power, and they figure out ways to, because it goes back to that whole Dragon Ball thing where it's like it's kind of like a bit of a chess match instead of like a big just get more power kind of thing match.
Right. It's not like an ass pull where you're like, oh, I have this new ability now that no one ever heard of or knows about.
Yeah.
At least with, like, so at least with Super Saiyan 1 for Goku and Vegeta, like, intense emotional trauma caused Goku's, right?
Yeah.
And Vegeta...
Basically, rage was what caused his, wasn't it?
Vegeta, rage at the death of Krillin. Well,
no, but Vegeta's was
Vegeta,
kind of rage.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So Vegeta was on that comet or that moon or whatever, and he had all these, like, meteors coming at him, and it was either I become a Super Saiyan and I destroy this,
or I die.
And out of survival and rage and just pure, he'd given up on ever beating Goku. Like, he was done. He was shamed as a Saiyan warrior, and he fucking flipped out and flipped the switch, and boom, Super Saiyan. Like, there was a trigger for it, right?
Yeah, that's true. They couldn't just do it. They had to They had to meet conditions in order to do it.
And then Super came along, and then Super was like, Vegeta was trying to train that one kid, I can't think of his name, and he's like, oh, all you have to do is just focus your energy in your back. And then...
Oh, yeah, that was kind of dumb.
And I was like...
thought of that.
I was like, you just lowered the greatest transformation in the history of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
But
they kind of lowered it, I think, before that. Like in Z, where they could just, all of a sudden, everybody can go, like, Super Saiyan 2, and, like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, so...
And they could do it at any time.
The thing with Super Saiyan 2, though, was that they did it through intense training in the hyperbolic time chamber.
That's true.
And they actually showed them training, whereas, like, this kid was like, oh, all you got to do is this, bloop, and then he does it.
Yeah.
It's like, and yeah, he did take some, like, rage and a little bit to do it, but then he was just able to teach the other two girls to do it, and it was like, what the fuck? You just literally took the most
all over, yeah.
Right, you just took the greatest transformation, maybe in anime history.
Yeah, and just...
For sure the most recognizable. Maybe not the best in history, because I don't really know if you could make that claim. You probably could, but I would definitely say the most popular transformation
most-
ever, and then
yeah.
you narrowed it down to just
The most
focus your
iconic.
energy-
Yeah.
Right, the most iconic, I would say. Gon actually has a transformation later in the show that is based off rage and sadness, and it's fucking epic, dude. But that shows you just how little transformations are kind of a thing, right?
Utilized. Yeah. That's the thing. It's so overutilized now.
Well, it's a staple of the genre. Like, everybody expects transformations ended up like they became the staple of every shonen after that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that just kind of is what it is.
I always preferred like instead of transformations when they'd like learn a new technique and stuff. Like I know Dragon Ball did that as well, but like you look at did you ever watch like Rurouni Kenshin? I think it's called Samurai
A little
X
bit.
here. It was like a really good show too, and it was he would like learn like a new technique, and then he'd have to figure out a way to like utilize it against certain guys and stuff.
Right.
And that Dragon Quest Adventure of Dai is kind of like that, but Adventure of Dai definitely gets into that bullshitty. I have a move you've never heard of. Now I can win. Like it definitely gets into that a lot, unfortunately. But Kenshin was good for not doing that. Like he would like train to like learn these moves and then figure out ways he could use it against like his opponents and stuff.
That's kind of why I like Demon Slayer too, is because Demon Slayer does that where Tanjiro has to learn these abilities that he's doing. He doesn't just know them. He doesn't just like ass pull them. He has to learn them. And there's another show, and I know it's a very popular show. I'm kind of middle of the road on it. I've seen every episode of it, and I enjoy it, but it's not what I would call one of my favorites, and that's My Hero Academia. Like, so a lot of the world is born with what they call quirks, and they're basically just superpowers. Like it's like a superhero show.
Oh, okay.
But there's one specific power. It's called All for One, and it's basically it gets passed down from user to user to user over the years, and every time it gets passed down, it keeps the power of the person that had it before.
So it gets exponentially like more powerful as it gets passed
but
down.
The person doesn't necessarily have access to all of those powers. They have to unlock them, right?
Oh, okay.
So the main character is Deku, and he's Izuku Midoriya, but he's called Deku. But he has this power All for One because he was born quirkless. He has no powers at all.
Okay.
So he has been waiting for his powers to awaken, and they just never will, right? Well, All Might is like the big he's the number one hero. They kind of have a ranking system for heroes. Like All Might's number one.
Is he like the guy? He's got like a superhero costume and like the blonde hair.
Right. That's All Might. He's played by Christopher Sabat, actually.
Oh, really? Like Vegeta? That's Vegeta's voice and Piccolo, right?
Yeah, and the dragon.
Oh, he does the dragon too?
Yeah, he does Shenron.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
So he's played. He's the number one hero. There's like a ranking system. The number one hero is always the one that like everybody wants to be saved by, right?
Right.
Well, in a society full of superheroes, you know.
Yeah.
And supervillains. And there's also a place it's called the League of Villains. And there's high schools dedicated to superheroes where they hone their powers, they learn about being heroes, they learn about how it works and stuff like that. Well, Deku doesn't have any powers. He's born without them. Well, All Might ends up giving him his powers. He sees potential in him. He knows he's willing to work hard for it. He's trying to prepare his body so that he can handle having a quirk, because people that are born with it can typically handle their quirk once they've had some training. If they're naturally born with it, they just grow up with it and it's like they've always had it, you know, and they don't it doesn't bother them to have it. But if you put a quirk into somebody's body that is not prepared for it, it can wreak really bad damage on them. So he is preparing Deku to take on the power. Well, over the course of the story, Deku starts unlocking more powers. So at first he unlocks All Might's powers. Well, then as the show goes on, he unlocks the ability to like use these black whips that come out, almost like Spider-Man. There's other powers that he unlocks, but he has trouble controlling them. And it's not just some, like, ass pull, like, oh, I have this ability no one knew about. No, it's established that ability exists. He just hasn't unlocked it yet. It's kind of an interesting way to go about it that doesn't, like, just feel like an ass pull. Like, sometimes it does, and then other times it doesn't.
Yeah,
but
there's lead up to it. Usually.
Right, and then they do have their own tournament arc, which is cool, but I like the show, but it definitely... Season 1 and Season 6 are definitely its best 2 seasons, but I wouldn't mind recommending it. The fandom online, however, is fucking intense. They love that shit.
I've seen some of the characters, but that's about it. Like, I'm very picky when it comes to, I mean, honestly, gaming and anime.
Yeah.
I can't do, like, very much of that, like, anime cringe. It really puts me off. And that's why, like, I usually, for the most part, like, just stick to, like, 80s and 90s anime, because there's a difference. There's like a line between, like, charm and cringe, and, like, somewhere in the 2000s it started getting crossed all the time.
I like speaking of 80s and 90s, I really like Cowboy Bebop and Outlaw Star.
Cowboy Bebop is god tier. The problem with Outlaw Star is I saw Cowboy Bebop first and was expecting it to be the same quality, and so I think I saw like 4 episodes and I was like, yeah, this sucks. But I'm sure if I would have watched that first, maybe I wouldn't have thought that. But
rewatch it because it's really, really good.
Cowboy Bebop is so good, like one of the best.
Now there is some anime cringe in the show I'm about to talk about, but I love Tenji Muyo.
Dude, that was a good one. I remember liking that back in the day.
That's a really good show.
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember much about it, but I do remember liking it.
Ryoko.
Another one that has a really good tournament arc though is actually Yu-Gi-Oh! When they go to the with the bracelets and stuff, right?
How could I forget that? The star chips.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, it was really good.
And you never knew who was gonna like move on and who was
the fucking assholes though in that show.
Oh, constant. You
know what really bothered me about that show, and this is gonna sound like such a weeb fucking thing to say, but what really bothered me in that show is that, like, and Pokemon does the same shit, and it bugs the fuck out of me. I know it's an anime, and I know what people are gonna say. Oh, it's an anime; it doesn't have to follow the rules. But fuck you, I don't care. So I hate that. Like, I'll watch Yu-Gi-Oh, and then I used to play the card game, and the rules don't fucking matter in the show.
Not at all. No.
And they're like, oh, I use Karibo and fucking multiply or whatever the fuck it is, and then it's like, I'm gonna put 1,000,000 Karibos and I could beat Blue Eyes White Dragon. It's like, fuck you, no you can't.
Yeah, I think with a lot of the because I think the battle, what is it called, Battle City tournament or something like that is like the second or third arc. And I don't think the rules actually existed yet. Like, that's where they just started to create, like, the real card game. So I think a lot of that stuff, like, when people say, like, oh, Yugi just made up, like, broke the rules, made shit up the whole time when he was playing it. I mean, he did that all the time, but that's kind of where they started to establish rules. Like, because that was where you needed, if you were going to summon someone higher than, like, a level 4 card, you had to sacrifice. Tribute. Or, yeah. So it was, they started bringing the rules in then, and it kind of made it a little bit better. But that was such a fucking good story arc, because you had an established amount of characters, and even the ones that were villains were still very established. And then just see some of these villains that, like, some of the hero characters couldn't beat go on to get decimated by some new character. Like, it was always like, holy shit, like, who's this guy? Like, I think tournament arcs are always a great place to introduce like powerful new characters and stuff too.
It always cracks me up too, because I didn't touch on this when we talked about Dragon Ball, and I'm a little upset with myself. The fact that Hercule,
oh, he's the best.
What cracks me up now, and I want to say this because I feel like the character himself, while yes, he is comic relief, he doesn't get enough credit as an actual martial artist. Everybody always remembers about him getting, bitch slapped at the Cell games. They always remember how cowardly he was in the face of Majin Buu and all this other stuff at the time. And it's like, dude, he's a human. He's not like Krillin or Tien, who was trained by some fucking otherworldly master.
Galactic, yeah. Well, and they had their powers unlocked by Guru on Namek too, right?
Right. And it's so cool to me because there's a scene in the Buu saga, and this is one of the coolest scenes I think in the entire Buu saga, and it's where Hercule is watching his daughter fight Spopovich, and Spopovich is like this big hulking monster, and Hercule destroyed him the year before or whatever. Well, now
he's got that Majin.
Now
power,
he's under Babidi's control, right?
Yeah.
So now he just fucking flat out destroys Videl. And Hercule's like, how could this guy destroy Videl? I trained her myself, and I destroyed him last year. And it shows you this flashback of Hercule winning, and it's like, he is actually
legit.
He is actually an accomplished martial artist, but people take him as such a joke because you see what he is like after
when he's
the
so
fact.
Outmatched. Yeah, when he's so unbelievably outmatched.
But he's been, it's the celebrity thing. He thinks he's the greatest in the world, so somebody like Cell, that's all fake. He's never seen people use energy balls or fly or anything like that. So to him, he's just a martial artist who's really good. He's a world champion. He is literally a world tournament champion. I think multiple times, actually.
I think so, yeah.
And you take him as a joke, but if you look at his acumen, he's actually a really accomplished martial artist.
A great guy, honestly.
And he's a great guy. And the fact that it's funny to me too, because a lot of people
he's a bit of a liar. He is definitely down to take credit for anything and everything.
But if you think about it, and I want to, there's two things I want to say. One, he did something that no one else could do. He tamed Majin Buu.
Absolutely. Nobody else could have done that.
Everybody wanted to fight him. Everybody saw him as the destroyer of worlds. Nobody wanted to take a chance to figure out if maybe the villain just needed a friend, right?
Yeah.
Or needed to be taught how the world worked.
When he was hiding and he saw, wasn't it that dog? He saw kindness. He saw kindness in him with that dog. I remember Hercule was hiding and Majin Buu had this kindness for that dog. And then Hercule was just okay, there's something in there.
Right.
He's not this.
And it's people don't take into account that Hercule is the only guy that was I'm a martial artist, but there's a way to do this without fighting. Even originally his plan was to try to blow him up with a rocket or kill him, right? But then he's wait, if I can keep him from killing people, isn't that just as good as beating him?
If not, it ends up being better because he fucking recruits him, basically, to help.
And then the other thing is, he's one of those characters where, he ended up being important when things really mattered. He's not just comic relief. He's not just that guy that lied, or he's not... And the other thing, too, and actually this reminds me, I'm glad that you said the lying thing. Look at how he reacted when he found out that these people existed.
Yeah, he was pretty depressed.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, it's not even depressed. He was so shocked by it. He was so weirded out by it that these people are real. And then he's if you think about it, and I want to say that this is true, but I can't remember off the top of my head. They allowed him to take credit for it.
Yeah, so they could kind of remain anonymous.
So they could remain anonymous because Gohan would never have a quiet life.
To grow up, and go to school, and
Hercule kind of took the brunt of that as the world champion, and said, "I defeated Cell. I don't know who these losers are. Blah blah blah."
Yeah,
and then later became friends with them. Right. Well, then I want to say. Later on in the show, there's a moment where he purposely takes credit again, but it's because of that reason. Now, I don't think the first time he did it was for that reason, but if you thought about it, if you knew that there were these like super human beings that had these powers that could blow up a planet, would you really want the general public to know?
Yeah, or would you believe that these guys exist, or would you believe that fucking GSP was the one that beat Cell? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if we're talking like in the real world, if some creature called Cell came, are you gonna believe that these guys that are using like these special effects and stuff? Because that's what Hercule said, right? He said they're using like smoke and mirrors special effects.
Right.
Are these guys the ones that beat him? Or when the TVs all went out, the dust settles, and GSP is the only one still standing there. Who are you gonna think? You know what I mean? Like it was the best martial artist.
Right. And now, granted, he was a little over the top, ha ha ha, and all that.
Yeah, because he had that whole like Hulk Hogan kind of persona.
Right.
Yeah.
He was an '80s wrestler.
Yeah.
Like it's really funny to me because like he is the butt of most jokes.
Yeah, he is.
But there's that little glimmer of greatness to him.
Oh, he is. And he's the one, if not for him, because when Goku, at the end of Z, really, when Goku needs the energy from Earth to get his power,
nobody wants to give it to him.
Give me all your energy. And they're like, who the fuck is this guy, right? and then all of a sudden, Hercule is like, this is my friend. You need to give us all your energy. It's the only hope. Blah blah blah. Like that's the only way they beat Boo. Right?
Yeah, and if he wasn't there, that probably wouldn't have happened.
No, it wouldn't have. And the other thing is, one of my favorite parts in Dragon Ball Super is when Hercule's telling the story of how he went Super Saiyan, and I can't remember who he's beating in that story. Was it Beerus? I think it was maybe the story of how he beat Beerus or something. Because it was after the Beerus, like the Battle of God saga, but it was before the Frieza one, and they had a couple like filler episodes, and there was like one or two episodes where Hercule's telling like his version of the events, and he actually goes like Super Saiyan in his story. He's got like the blonde hair and stuff, and I thought that was just awesome, and everyone's just like, oh really? And he's like, oh yeah.
Did you ever play Budokai?
Yes, dude. Seeing Hercule in all those fighting games was the best because all his moves, the way he flew, he'd have like a jetpack on his back, and he'd like hand them like bombs and stuff. Like,
dude, Budokai 3, I believe it was, had where you could fuse with Hercule.
Yeah, Gokule.
Yeah, it was so
and he
awesome.
had like big bald spot here, but he had like
I want to say he could fuse with like Dende or Piccolo too, and he would become like half Namek but with like a fro.
Oh yeah, I know you could do Goku, but I don't know about the other. I haven't done the other one, but
yeah, I feel like there's several that you can do with him. Maybe not several, but there's quite a few that you can do with him. But
fuck, yeah. I love him in those games so much,
dude. I actually I didn't used to like that character. I was like, who's this fucking idiot? But then,
yeah, same. Like when it was airing, I didn't.
But then you look at the character and you're like, okay, I kind of like this guy.
Yeah. As an adult, you can kind of appreciate him for who he is and what he brings to the table.
Right, and I feel like sometimes I judge annoying characters a little too quickly.
Yeah, and
so like. I sometimes go back and I'm like, okay, why was this character annoying? Like, what was the purpose of this character?
And once you realize what their purpose was, and if they serve that purpose, then it's like, oh, so that's like what they were meant to be, and they did a damn good job of it.
I love though that even though like Hercule took the credit for beating Cell, Vegeta still just doesn't like him.
Yeah,
he's just like this phony, blah blah blah.
One of my favorite things in the Budokai games, and I don't remember which one it was, but me and my friends would always fucking laugh because we would play as him like quite a bit because it was so funny. And one of his attacks was called Megaton Punch Attack, and it was a fucking kick. And I would just die laughing. He's like, Megaton Punch Attack, and he was like, he'd kick him. It was like, what the fuck?
Wasn't there one where like wasn't there like a level 3 like finisher attack or whatever he had where he would like twinkle toes up to somebody and then like hand him like
like Wile E. Coyote style.
Yeah, and then hand him a bomb and then just twinkle toes away.
It was a present with like a flashing light on it. Yeah. And then he'd go and like hide away, and then it would blow up in their face when they'd go to open it.
Oh my god, dude, those games were so good. Tenkaichi 4 is
supposed to be coming out soon.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Actually,
I hope it's good.
Yeah, I do too.
The thing about those games was like the play style was so weird. Like the way you did your attacks was like punch, 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 try like energy blast, and then he'd do like the command. Like it was super weird. Like the way
Tenkaichi, I don't think was like that. I think it was like a menu select. It was action, but it was menu select your abilities, I think, if I remember right.
Oh, like you'd hold R2 and then...
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember.
I've only played one of the Tenkaichi Budokai ones, so...
Tenkaichi 3 is probably the best one.
That's the only one I played.
It has the biggest roster. It has the... it's amazing. I love that game. I actually still have it somewhere.
Dude, Budokai 1 looks fucking ugly today.
It does.
Like if you go back and play it, it's just brutal.
I loved that it was a fighting game that replayed the original story.
Yeah.
And you would go through it and see all the cool scenes in 3D.
Yeah. At the time it was cool, but now it's like every single game does that.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's always like, it's like, how many times do I want to play through the fucking Dragon Ball Z story?
That's where I
wish they made a Dragon Ball game like that. Where
I know.
Play through all of Dragon Ball.
That's where I'm at with Kakarot, though. Like, I really, really liked Kakarot, but I was like, dude, how many times do I have to play through the entire Z saga?
That's why I quit pretty early. But now they added the Final World tournament from Dragon Ball to it as a DLC now.
Did they?
It's either out now or it's coming out like very soon.
From
like
Dragon Ball or from Super?
Nope, from Dragon Ball. So it's like when Goku's like an early teen and he goes against like Piccolo Jr., aka like who we know as Piccolo today.
I might have to check that out because I have the game.
So I wanted to like kind of just get that DLC to play just that, but I don't know how the DLC works. Like I don't know if because I'm like super early in the game. Like I think I fought like Nappa. That's the furthest I got in the story. But I was like, same as what you were saying. It's like, do I really want to play through all of Dragon Ball Z again, like for the 900th time? And the other thing I didn't like is you're pretty much stuck playing as Goku, but most of my characters are like Tien, Yamcha. You know what I mean? You can't really play as those guys. So.
You get to play as other characters later.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, you do.
That's good.
But there, one thing we kind of touched on it with Legend of Dragoon earlier and Dragon Quest. Tournaments in video games, though. One of my, and this is going to be weird because it's not really weird, but Scarlet and Violet had a tournament mode.
That's what I heard, actually.
At the end. The end is a tournament to decide the like, you fight the Elite Four, you become champion or whatever. Well, then you go back to the school, and there's like a grand champion tournament or whatever, and you try to win that, whatever, and that's like the end of the game. Well, actually, I think there's something after that. I think it's Zero Zone or something like that. But anyway, that was a cool tournament kind of deal. But Pokemon has always had a tournament, and that's the Elite Four. Like, you are...
Exactly, yeah.
And
I always liked how it worked, too, because it was like you had to beat them to progress, and then you're like, oh, I finally did it, I'm the champ, and then your fucking rival's like, nah, bitch, now you gotta fight me. And it's like, fuck, I gave everything I had to get here.
So I've been watching the Indigo League with my son, and I think my favorite episodes of that entire run of Pokemon is the Pokemon League. Because, like, you see Ash go through it, and you also see, like, Gary go through it a little bit, and they're, like, facing all these people, and it's a really good tournament arc. Because Ash doesn't... That's another one. Ash doesn't win.
He never wins. Yeah,
he finally wins later in life. Well, later as a 10-year-old, but...
Yeah.
It's like, it's...
Every episode of Pokemon is just 1 hour.
Yeah.
In Ash's life, basically.
Yeah.
Or it's real. Pokemon happens in real time. So every episode is a half hour of Ash's life. And that's how he's still 10 years old at the end.
Yeah. But, Pokemon has some really good tournaments. Those are usually my favorite episodes of each season. Is when he gets to,
same here actually. Yeah.
Like the adventure is kind of like okay, you know, but I like okay. So I watched all of Pokemon Journeys with my kid.
Is that Johto Journeys or it's a different one?
It's a different. It was that one I was telling you about last time,
right,
with Ash and Go. Well, there's a tournament called the World Coronation Tournament, and Ash is in it, and it's really, really good. He's also in the Sun and Moon one, and the Sun and Moon one is really good too. You got anything to add?
No, I don't.
Yeah, it's wow, we're stupid. But well, I guess since we have nothing else to add, I guess we will start wrapping this up. Oh my god.
I blame the medication.
I blame the Rona.
Yeah.
My throat's starting to hurt, so.
Yeah, same, yeah.
So this is probably a good place to stop it anyway. But today was an awesome conversation. I'm glad we could finally get this done. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. It was nice doing the tournament arc thing. It definitely swayed into more of a Dragon Ball topic, but yeah. I fucking love Dragon Ball, so
yeah,
you can't go wrong with Dragon Ball, really.
Right, and you can't go wrong with tournament arcs, folks. I'm just saying.
You can't. Everybody loves it. Like, I don't know anyone that doesn't love a good tournament arc.
I don't either. I
also don't know of very many, if any, bad tournament arcs, to be honest.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen a bad tournament arc, but
no, same.
Yeah. It's a good point. But anyway, so don't forget, guys, we are on iTunes, Spotify, my YouTube channel, and we are also on SoundCloud now. So do us a favor, give us a rating on all of those platforms. We really appreciate it. We're up to 5 stars with 5 ratings, I believe, on Spotify. That's all I got for today. Thank you for hanging out with us while we talk about tournament arcs and we weeb out about anime. And being, yeah, listen to us as we actively die on...
Whine about being sick for the first, like, half hour of the podcast.
Yeah, no shit. Really appreciate you guys. You guys have been awesome, as always, with the support. And, the likes, the retweets, the shares, the re-X's now, whatever you want to fuck call them. Thanks, Elon. But yeah, so that's all I got. I'm Alex, aka Soldier First Class.
I'm Corey, aka Dookie03.
And this has been The Gaming Effect, episode 4, The Plague and Tournament Arcs. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you later. Bye.